Hi, this is Ridea Keeping It Real, and we are reading through the Bible using the Good News Bible. We are still on the Apocrypha books. We're on the first book of Esdras, and we are on chapter 2. So, chapter 1 it's where the Jews they're going to be able to go back to Jerusalem. And so right now they're getting ready to return from exile. They're getting ready to go back home. And I scanned this and I noticed there's a lot of names. And if you've been listening to me, you know that I don't let the fact I do not know how to pronounce the names stop me. So don't let that trip you up that I say them wrong or I even skip them, because all the people are important here. So here we go. Let's do it. So Cyprus commands the Jews to return. You can find the story in 2 Chronicles chapter 36 and in Ezra chapter 1. So in the first year that Cyrus of Persia was emperor, the Lord made come true what he had said through the prophet Jeremiah. He prompted Cyrus to issue the following command and send it out in writing to be read aloud everywhere in his empire. And this was the command. This is the command of Cyrus, emperor of Persia, the Lord of Israel, the Lord Most High, has appointed me ruler over the whole world and has given me the responsibility of building a temple for him in Jerusalem in Judah. May the Lord be with those of you who are his people. You are to go to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple of the Lord of Israel, the Lord who lives in Jerusalem. If any of his people in exile need help to return, their neighbors must give them this help, providing them with silver and gold and other gifts, with horses and packed animal, as well as anything else offered for the temple of the Lord of Jerusalem, in fulfillment of a vow. Then the heads of the clans of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, is the southern tribe, the priest and the Levites, and everyone else whose heart the Lord had moved, got ready to go and rebuild the Lord's temple in Jerusalem. Their neighbors helped them with everything, giving them silver, gold, horses, and packed animals. Many of their neighbors were also led to give large numbers of things in fulfillment of vows. Emperor Cyrus gave them back the sacred utensils that King Nebuchadnezzar had taken from Jerusalem and had put in the temple of his idols. He brought them out and handed them over to Ridea, chief of the royal treasury, who delivered them to Sheshbazzar, the governor of Judah. Here is the inventory of the utensils: gold bowls for offerings, 1,000 of those; silver bowls for offerings, 1,000 of those; silver fire pans, 29; small gold bowls, 30; small silver bowls, 2,410; other utensils, 1,000. In all, there were 5,469 gold and silver bowls and other utensils. And Sheshbazzar took these with him when he and the other exiles went from Babylon to Jerusalem. Opposition to rebuilding Jerusalem. There's always somebody opposed to something. This is in Ezra chapter 4. In the reign of Emperor Artaxerxes, I know that name, Artaxerxes of Persia, Pishlam. In the reign of Emperor Artaxerxes of Persia, Pislam, Mithridates, Tabel, Ruham, Beltathamas, Shimshai, the secretary, of the province and their associates who lived in Samaria and elsewhere wrote the following letter in protest against the Jews who were living in Judah and Jerusalem. Okay. To your majesty, Emperor Artaxerxes, from your servants, the official correspondence, Rehum, the secretary, Shimshah, and the other members of the council, and the judges of Greater Syria and Phoenicia. We want your majesty to know that the Jews who came here from your other territories have settled in Jerusalem and are rebuilding that evil and rebellious city. They are restoring the marketplaces, repairing the walls, and laying the foundation for the temple. If this city is rebuilt and its walls are completed, the people will stop paying taxes and won't even rebel against the royal authority. Since work on the temple has already begun, we consider it appropriate not to overwork such an important matter, but to bring it to the attention of your majesty. Then, if it seems proper to you, a search may be made in the records your ancestors kept. You will find information about these matters in the historical records, and you will discover that this city has always been rebellious and given trouble to other cities and kings. The Jews have used it from ancient times as a base for rebellions and wars. That is why the city was destroyed. We therefore declare to you that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are restored, your majesty will no longer be able to enter Greater Syria and Phoenicia. The emperor sent the following answer to the official correspondent, Rehum Beltatimas, the secretary, Shimshah, and their associates who lived in Samaria, Syria, and Phoenicia. Said, after reading the letter which you sent me, I give orders for an investigation to be made. And it has indeed been found that from ancient times Jerusalem has revolted against royal authority, and its people have been involved in insurrections and wars. Powerful and cruel kings have reigned there and have ruled over Greater Syria and Phoenicia, from which they collected taxes. Therefore, I am now issuing orders that those men be prevented from rebuilding the city, and that necessary steps be taken to ensure that these orders will not be disobeyed, so that this troubled spot will no longer be a threat to the royal interest. As soon as the letter from Emperor Artaxerxes was read, Rehum, Shimshah, the secretary, and their associates hurried to Jerusalem with a force of cavalry, and a large number of armed troops began interfering with the rebuilding of the temple. The work had to stop, and no more was done until the second year of the reign of Emperor Darius of Persia. We're going to keep going. Chapter 3, the debate of the bodyguards before the emperor. The Emperor Darius gave a great banquet for all of those under him, all the members of his family and staff, all the leading officials of Persia and Media, all his chief officers, administrations, and the governors of the 127 provinces stretching from India to Sudan. When everyone had enough to eat and drink, they left, and Darius went to bed. He fell asleep, but soon awoke. A contest is proposed. Then the 3 young men who served Emperor Darius as his personal bodyguards said to one another, let each one of us name the one thing that he considers the strongest thing in the world. The emperor will decide who has given the wisest answer to this question and will give magnificent gifts and prizes to the winner. He will wear royal robes, drink from the gold cup, and sleep in the gold bed. He will have a chariot with gold-studded bridles, wear a fine linen turban, and have a gold necklace. Because of his wisdom, he will be an advisor to the emperor and will be given the title relative of the emperor. Then each of them wrote down the best answer he could think of, sealed it, and put it under the emperor's pillow. They said to one another, when the emperor wakes up, the statements will be given to him. He and the 3 leading officials of Persia will decide who gave the wisest answer. The winner will be given the prize on the basis of what he has written. The first person wrote, "There is nothing stronger than wine." The second wrote, "There is nothing stronger than the emperor." And the third one wrote, "There is nothing stronger than a woman, but truth can conquer anything." When the emperor woke up, the written statements were given to him, and he read them. Then he sent messengers and called together all the leading officials of Persia and Media, including the chief of officers, administrators, governors, and commissioners. He took his seat in the council chambers and had the 3 statements read aloud. "Bring in the 3 young men," he said, "and let them explain their answers." So when they were brought in, they were asked to explain what they had written. The speech about wine. Interesting. The bodyguard who had written about the strength of the wine spoke first. "Gentlemen," he said, "wine is clearly the strongest thing in the world. It confuses the mind of everyone who drinks it. It has exactly the same effect on everyone, king or orphan, slave or free, rich or poor. It makes every thought happy and carefree. It makes one forget every sorrow and responsibility. It makes everyone feel rich, ignore the power of the kings and officials, and talk as if he owned the whole world. When men drink wine, they forget who their friends and neighbors are, and then they are soon drawing their swords to fight them. Then, when they sober up, they don't remember what they have done. Gentlemen," he concluded, "if wine makes men act this way, it certainly must be the strongest thing in the world." The speech about the emperor. The bodyguard who had written about the strength of the emperor spoke next. "Gentlemen," he said, "nothing in the world is stronger than men. And since they rule over land and sea, and in fact, over everything in the world, but the emperor is the strongest of them all. He is their lord and master, and men obey him no matter what he commands. If he tells them to make war on one another, they do it. If he sends them out against his enemies, they go, even if they have to break down mountains, walls, or towers. They may kill or be killed, but they never disobey the emperor's orders. If they are victorious, they bring him all their loot and everything else they have taken in battle. Farmers do not go out to war, but even they bring to the emperor a part of everything that they harvest, and they compel one another to pay taxes to the emperor. Although the emperor is only one man, if he orders people to kill, what do? They kill. If he orders them to set prisoners free, they do it. If he orders them to attack, they do. If he orders destruction, they destroy. If he orders to build, they build. If he orders crops to be destroyed or fields to be planted, it is done. Everybody, soldier or civilian, obeys the emperor. And when he sits down to eat and drink and then falls asleep, his servants stand guard around him without being able to go and take care of their own affairs. For they never disobey him, gentlemen, he concluded. Since people obey the emperor like this, certainly nothing in the world is stronger than he is. The speech about women. The bodyguard who had written about women and the truth, it was Zerubbabel, spoke last. "Gentlemen," he began, "the emperor is certainly powerful. Men are numerous, and wine is strong. But who rules and controls them all? It is women. Women give birth to the emperor and all the men who rule over land and sea. Women brought them into the world. Women brought up the men who planted the vineyards, from which the wine comes. Women make the clothes that men wear. Women bring honor to men. In fact, without women, men couldn't live. Men may accumulate silver or gold or other beautiful things, but if they see a woman with a pretty face or a good figure, they will leave it all to gape and stare, and they will desire her more than their wealth. A man will leave his father, who brought him up, and leave his own country to get married. He will forget his father, his mother, and his country to spend the rest of his life with his wife. So you must recognize that women are your masters. Don't you work and sweat and then take all that you have earned and give it to your wives? A man will take his sword and go out and attack, rob, and steal, and sail the seas and river. He may have to face lions or travel in the dark, but when he is robbed, stolen, and plundered, he will bring the loot home to the woman he loves. A man loves his wife more than his parents. Some men are driven out of their minds on account of a woman, and others become slaves for the sake of a woman. Others have been put to death, have ruined their lives, or have committed crimes because of a woman. So now, do you believe me? The emperor's power is certainly great. No nation has the courage to attack him. But once I saw him with Apam, his concubine, the daughter of the famous Bartacus, who, while sitting at the emperor's right, she took his crown off his head, put it on her own, and then slapped his face with her left hand. All the emperor did was looked at her with his mouth open. Whenever she smiles at him, he smiles back. And when she gets angry with him, he flatters her and teases her until she's in a good mood again. Gentlemen, if women can do all of that, surely there can be nothing stronger in the world. The emperor and his officials just looked at one another. The speech about truth. Then Zerubbabel began to speak about truth. Yes, gentlemen, he said, women are very strong, but think of how big the earth is, how high the sky is. Think how fast the sun moves as it rapidly circles the whole sky in a single day. If the sun can do this, it is certainly great. But truth is greater and stronger than all of these. Everyone on earth honors truth. Heaven praises it. All of creation tremble in awe of it. There is not the slightest injustice in truth. You will find injustice in wine, the emperor, women, all human beings, in all they do, and in everything else. There is no truth in them. They are unjust, and they will perish. But truth endures and is always strong. It will continue to live and reign forever. Truth shows no partiality or favoritism. It does what is right, rather than what is unjust or evil. Everyone approves what truth does. Its decisions are always fair. Truth is strong, royal, powerful, majestic, forever. Let all things praise the God of truth. The response. When Zerubbabel had finished speaking, all the people shouted, "Truth is great! There is nothing stronger." Then the emperor said to him, "You may ask anything you want, even more than what was agreed, and I will give it to you. You will be my advisor, and you will be granted the title relative of the emperor." Zerubbabel replied, "Your Majesty, permit me to remind you of the solemn vow you took on the day you became emperor. You promised to rebuild Jerusalem and to send back all the treasures that had been taken from the city. Remember that when Cyrus made a vow to destroy Babylon, he set these things aside and solemnly promised to send them back to Jerusalem. You also promised to rebuild the temple, which the Edomites burned down when the Babylonians devastated the land of Judah. So, Your Majesty, because you are a man of generosity, I beg you to forgive the solemn promise you made to the King of Heaven." Then Emperor Darius stood up, kissed Zerubbabel, and wrote letters for him to all the treasurers, governors, and administrators in the provinces ordering them to provide safe conduct for him and all those going with him to rebuild Jerusalem. He also wrote letters to all the governors in Greater Syria and Phoenicia and special instructions to those in Lebanon to transport cedar logs to Jerusalem and help Zerubbabel rebuild the city. The emperor also provided letters for all the Jews who wished to return to Jerusalem. These letters guaranteed their freedom and ordered all governors, treasurers, and other administrators not to interfere with them in any way. All the land that they had acquired was to be exempt from taxation, and the Edomites were to surrender the villages they had taken from the Jews. Each year, 1,500 pounds of silver would be given for the construction of the temple until it was finished. In addition, 750 pounds of silver would be given each year to provide for the 17th burnt offerings to be offered in the temple each day. All the Jews who left Babylonia to build the city of Jerusalem would be granted their freedom together with their children and the priest. The emperor's orders gave specific instructions as follows. The priests must be supported. Their robes for the temple service must be provided. The Levites must be supported until the temple and Jerusalem are completely rebuilt. And land and wages must be provided for all the guards in the city. He also affirmed Cyrus' instructions that all the small utensils and the temple treasures that Cyrus had set aside should be returned to Jerusalem. Then the young man Zerubbabel left the council chamber, turned towards Jerusalem, looked up to the heavens, and praised the King of heaven. Lord, all praise belongs to you. You are the source of all victory and wisdom. And I thank you, O Lord of our ancestors, for giving wisdom to me, your servant. Zerubbabel took the emperor's letters and went to Babylon, where he told his fellow Jews everything that had happened. They praised the God of their ancestors because he had made it possible for them to go and rebuild Jerusalem and the temple, which bears his name. For 7 days, they held a joyful celebration accompanied by music. That was amazing. That was so amazing. That this Zerubbabel, that he was given the wisdom to know that the most important and powerful thing was what? Truth. And we learned about that when we were looking at the gates that your speech should go through. And that first thing is the breath, the truth, right? Not to lie, to tell the truth. The truth is the most important thing. And then we see how they got back everything that they needed to rebuild the temple. Everything was given to them. And that was amazing. It really was amazing. Really amazing. Yeah, as I was reading that, I was thinking about, I'm probably going to make a copy of that. There's a police officer I used to work with in Charlotte. His name was Zerubbabel, and he was named after this Zerubbabel. Yeah, so we just called him Zeru. And he would say all the time, yeah, my mom named me from the Bible, a man in the Bible. And I have a piece of artwork by him. It's just a circle, a red circle. I'll never forget. I don't even know how I got it. But it was like, oh, it's stunning. It was stunning. I think he's now like a deputy chief, actually. I don't even know. Zeru Chicory. That's his name. Like, what is Zeru's last name? Oh, that was amazing. You know that was amazing. I'm sure that was gold right there. Because remember all the gold they were talking about? Everything was gold, and that reminded me of Trump. You know, and I'm sure people like Trump have read stuff like this, tried to emulate, you know. living like this. That's what I thought about. That was totally, I mean, I'm going to go back and I'm going to read that again. I know that I will. And I'm going to highlight and underline things. I don't want to forget that I read that. Because if I've read it before, I don't remember it. If I read it in, either in Second Chronicles or Ezra, I don't remember it. I'm amazed, right? I don't know why I don't think he would have on gray, but I'm coloring it in gray for some reason. But I don't think he would have on gray. I think he would have like some, I don't know, yellow maybe. But yes, that was great. I'm at almost the 25-minute mark, and it's starting to take a long time for these videos to upload. So with that, until next time, it's Ridea keeping it real.